So yesterday we just discussed about the types of scales of measurement, right? So that is the basic thing you should be aware of it because down the line or throughout this training program, I'll be using these terms: so the continuous variable, discrete variable, nominal variable, ordinal variable, so that you should not get confused, right? What this nominal variable and these four variables, you should remember it, okay? But anyhow, don't worry. Over a period of time, as you keep hearing my uh, lecture or sessions, right, about these jargons, you'll be able to remember it or recollect it. Yeah, we discussed about what is statistics and the branches of statistics, and also we discussed about the four different types of scales of measurement, right? So okay, in statistics we discussed about two things. One is the descriptive statistics and the other one is inferential statistics. And also we discussed the nominal variable and the ordinal interval, and we discussed about ratio also. So nominal is kind of a it's a both these two are the categorical variable. Ordinal, nominal, these two are categorical variable, and these two are qualitative variable. So we can say, right, quantitative variable. These two are quantitative, and these two are, what is this? These two are your categorical, or we can say qualitative. Quantitative and qualitative. Good. Today we will take you through the descriptive statistic part. Okay. Today we'll take a look at the descriptive statistics. What is in descriptive statistics? Also, there are two different branches. The branches are there. Okay, in descriptive statistics, there are two different branches. Branches are there. One is the measures of central tendency. Measures of central tendency, and this one is measures of spread. So as part of measures of central tendency, we will take a look at what is mean, what is median, and what is mode. As part of measures of spread, we'll discuss about the range, standard deviation, and coefficient of variation. Okay, coefficient of variation. And also we discuss about the applications of standard deviation, when we are going to use standard deviation, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of the range and the standard deviation. Also we'll take a look at it. Plus you will be learning the percentiles, quartiles, and you'll be learning interquartile range, and also you'll be learning the visual tools like box plot, right? How to use box plot, what is box plot, and what values we can plot it in the box plot, and how to interpret them from the business point of view. Okay, these are the important things. We will take a look at it. See, these things, most of them you studied during school time. The mean, median, mode, median. Sorry, this is median and mode. Okay, these three we studied school time. Even range also we studied. Standard deviation also we studied, and percentiles probably they covered you during school time, and coefficient of variation also you might have heard these things during school time, right? They would have covered these things, but there are some syllabus like state board, they don't cover these things. Okay, anyhow, don't worry, we'll discuss all these things in this session. Okay, so mean, what is mean? In statistics they call average as mean. Okay, mean is nothing but average. Median is nothing but the middle value. What is mode? Mode is nothing but the most frequently occurring values. right? The frequency. It is nothing but the frequency. This talking about the middle value. So what is the big deal about mean, median, mode, right? See, the whole idea of the measures of central tendency is to identify the central location of the data. That is the whole idea of measures of central tendency. Identifying the central location of the data. And the whole idea of the measures of spread is how spread out the data is. By learning this, you will get to know, the centralized location of the data. By learning the spread, you will get to know how volatile the data set is. How volatile. For example, stock market. You are doing intraday trading, right? If the spread is too wide, that means too much of volatility. Suddenly the prices are going down, suddenly it goes up, right? And suddenly it is falling down gradually, abruptly it is falling down somewhere, right? So lot of volatility is there. Whether the given data set has too much of volatility or not, that is what we are going to look at it as part of measures of spread. Now the question is, the measures of central tendency is sort of okay, we are fine with this. And what is the purpose of understanding the spread? Okay, volatility is there, right? So why should I learn about the volatility? Why should I, consider looking at the volatility? Yeah, right? There are certain things, right? You should not have any volatility. But in the real world, there will be some volatility, right? So volatility. So by looking how to find out the volatility, by using various measures like range, standard deviation, the coefficient of variation, percentiles, right? So by learning, anyhow, we will see how it is helpful, right? By using these measures like range, standard deviation, coefficient of variation, how it is helpful in terms of in the case of business scenario, right? How it is helpful really. That we will look at it little later. First, we will try to understand what is mean, median, mode. So mean is very simple thing. You know very well what is mean. Mean is nothing but average. So there is it's not a big deal, right? So for example, let's take a simple example: salary. Let's say a data analyst, right? He falls under band 3. This is band 3 and level 4. Let's say you're a data scientist, okay, with 3 to 5 years experience guy, or 3 to 4 years experience guy, data analyst, right? He falls under this band and level, and is, let's 5 people are there in a company. There are, say, 5 people, 5 data analysts are working in a company. Okay, their salaries are something like 40,000, and other guy's salary is 45,000 and 42,000, and other guy's salary is 43,000, and some guy, his salary is somewhat like this. So within the company, right? Let's say you work for Infosys. In Infosys itself, for the same band and same level, the salary varies from person to person, right? Though all the 5 data analysts are falling in the same band and the level, the salaries are not identical, right? Because of experience, because of the skill set, because of their past company's salary, right? The salaries are varying, and also based on the company where they work. See, if it is a reputed company, right? People came from reputed company. What we do is we get special approval from the senior management because of their skill set and past company, the value which they can bring it to our company, right? So we will give them more salary also. Fine. So now how do I find out the average? Average is very simple, right? So add all these values and divided by 5. What we will do is, let us add all these 3 values. 45, 85 plus 40. How much you will get? 1,25,000 something like that, right? So divided by how much? 4. Here it is 50,000, right?
130 divided by 4.
Oh, 130, right? This one is 130, yeah. Okay, 130 divided by 4, right? So, yeah. So, in this case, yeah, 3, right?
4250 it coming.
How much? 30,000, huh?
42,000,
Okay.
42,500.
Okay, this is the average, right? Okay, good.
Yeah.
This is the average. See, here I did not taking into account of this salary, okay? Only these salaries, when I, oh yeah, simply when you look at this, right? You don't have to add all these things, right? So, 40, 42, 43, 45, right? So, here if you hear these two things are 45, these two are same, right? 45, 45, and only thing is 40. 45 plus 40, right? The average between these two is somewhat 42,500, right?
45 plus 200 something.
Yeah,
200.
42,500, right? Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Somewhat, right? So let's say, approximately this is the average, 42,500. This is the average. So, but by including this, let's say if I ask you to include this one also here, right? What is the average? Divided by 5, right? So here, let's the average is how much you will get. You will get, hypothetically, let's 100,000 something like that, because of this one, right? Or let us, let me do a simple math here. So 1 second.
44 it will be. 44,000.
It's a 5 lakh, right?
5 lakh. It is not 50,000.
Yeah,
5
yeah,
lakh.
5 lakh.
Okay.
Around 1 lakh 30,000.
Yeah, around 1,30,000, right? Yeah. So if you do it, 1 second.
5 lakhs plus 1 lakh 70,000. So 6 lakh 70,000 divided by 5. 12.
Yeah, 1 lakh
1 lakh 20,000.
40,000.
54,000 something.
54, huh? Okay. 54.
34.
34, right? 1 lakh
34.
34,000. 1 lakh 34,000. Okay. So this is the average salary. Let's say if somebody is asking you, hey, Bala or Satish, if I join your company, what is the expected average salary I can get it given my experience? Right? So, which one you will tell? Will you tell 42,500, or will you tell him that he will get 1,34,000?
Which one? Satya, can you ask the question again?
See, my question is, let's say, I'm a data analyst, okay, and I fall in this band and level, okay, given my experience, and right, I can fall in this band only, or in this level. And if I ask you guys, hey, if I join your company, what is the expected average? What is the expected average salary I can get it?
Okay, it will be 42,500.
Yes.
Why?
That will belongs to the particular band actually.
No, even this also falls in this one only, right? Even this guy is also getting the same, falling in the same band and level.
But it's an exception, right? So everyone, when you take that average, right, the 5 lakhs is the only one person who is kind of odd person out, right? So remaining, we are seeing only 42 as average of.
Yeah, he is a one odd man out,
Yeah.
right? He's a one odd man out of all these things, right? So just because one person is getting a very high salary, and if you include him in this data set, and if you compute average, you get, see, your average is also skewed. You see, if this is called your outlier, okay, this is called your outlier, something exceptionally very high value. We use a term called outlier. Don't forget it, okay? Outlier, OUTLIR. This is called your outlier. And supposing you have something like 2,000 something like, so exceptionally very high value and unusually very low value is also there in your given data set. We call that as an outlier. See, when you look at these data, right? These data, all these values are somewhat closer to each other. When you compare this one with this one, it is too far from this. Even this one is too far from this, even, right? But these values are somewhat closer to each other compared to this value and this value, right? And these two values are called your outlier. Outlier can be exceptionally or unusually very high value or unusually very low value. If you have an outlier in your data set, we call that a skewed data set. Skewed data set. Okay, skewed data set. If you don't have outlier, that means the data is normally, somewhat normally distributed. Okay, the distribution is normal. You might have heard about this term. What is that? The bell curve. During the appraisal term, you would have heard about this bell curve, right? So you are falling in the plus or minus 2 standard deviation in the bell curve, or plus or minus 1 standard deviation. That is the reason why we could see some kind of variation. That is what the HR guys talk about it. If you are part of the quality team, right? The CMM guys, right? They knows the bell curve and all. But at this moment, you just think, right? If your data set is not skewed, that means if you don't have the unusual values like this in your data set, that means it is kind of normal data. The distribution is normal. Okay. If I exclude this one, I get 42,500. So the outlier, what is the cause for the outlier? Sometimes due to data entry error. Data entry error. Instead of putting instead of specifying 4 zeros, right? Here I mentioned additional zeros mistakenly. This 0 is not supposed to, mistakenly I typed it here. Ideally 4 zeros are supposed to be there, but mistakenly I put extra 0 here. The outlier could be due to this one. Due to what? Due to the typing mistake, data entry mistake, or it could be valid data also. It could be a valid data also. If it is a valid data, see, if it is invalid data, right? Let's say if this is exceptionally very high value, and you talk to the respective application manager, you're asking him, hey, is this a correct data? And if he says, no, man, this is wrong. We don't give this much salary for these people, right? So you remove 1 0. Then you fix it, then you will not have an outlier in your data set. Let's say if he says, no, this is valid data, don't remove it. It is correct only. The classic example is the sales, right? Sometimes the sales will be like this, right? Normal. Suddenly it goes up, and sometimes, some days, right? Due to luck or due to a specific day, the volume of sales is very good. Let's say you are running a hotel, right? You have a hotel in ECR Road. Sales is there, but suddenly, on a particular day, many people, they came to my hotel, right? Which we never, out of blue, many people showed up in my hotel on that day. So this is exceptional thing, right? So similarly, he says, no, it is a correct data only, because we got approval from senior management, because this guy, he came from Google and joined with us. Okay. So in that case, you have to accommodate this one also. When you do the average, and 1,34,000. So when your data set is skewed, if you use the measure like mean is a measure, right? If you use the measure mean to compute this on the skewed data, your average is also skewed. But if you exclude this, your average is pretty decent. If you tell your friend, hey, man, you will get 42,500, then he will be happy. Then he will decide, then he can make a right decision. Man, so if I get 42,500, better let me not apply for a job in your company. Fine. So, but if you tell him this one, then you are setting a wrong expectation. So you will be thinking that, oh man, this is a good, salary, good pay. Let me apply here, and he is wasting his time here. After clearing the interview, if the HR tells him around 42,500 or 44,000 or 45,000, he will not be happy. And he will be, he will call you and tell you, man, you said 1,34,000, but now your HR is 44,000 or 45,000. I'm not at all happy. I wasted my time. You are setting a wrong expectation. So what we conclude here is, if a data set is skewed, which means if you have the outlier in your data set, don't use mean. Mean is sensitive to outlier, because when you use the measure mean on the skewed data, your average value also skewed. Fine? Okay. So you cannot use mean. If your data is normal, if you don't have outlier, then you can use mean. So fine, if I don't have outlier in my data set, I can use mean. If I have an outlier in my data set, which measure can I use it? That is where you have something called median, right? Median is helpful. Median is helpful if you have outlier in your data set. Let's take the same data set here, 40,000, 45,000. But in the case of median, if you have to compute the median manually, you need to sort the data in ascending order, right? So which one is lesser value here? 42,000. Sorry, 40,000, right? 40, 42, 43. And 40, 42, 43, 45. And your 5 lakh here, 500,000, right? So I sorted this data in ascending order in the case of median, but you don't have to sort it manually, especially when you work with the statistical software. You have a function called median that is available. Inside the median function, just pass this data set as an argument. It takes care of it. It gives you the median. The median is nothing but the middle value. So in this case, it is very simple to find out the median. Can just simply cancel the first and last value, the second and the last but second value, and what is there in the middle? 43,000. See, in this data, though I included the outlier, still median is not sensitive. You agree with me or not? If you tell your friend, hey, the median salary, what you can expect from my company is 43,000.
So when taking that middle value, right? So after sorting out, then you will take median, or whatever that is centered, you will take the median value.
First, you need to sort the data in ascending order.
Okay.
First, you need to sort it in ascending order, and then you need to find the middle. Supposing, right, see in this case, what is my sample size? This is my sample data. How many number of observations are there? Records 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So sample, we use a notation called n. N is nothing but the sample. So 5 records are there, 5 observations are there, right? So the 5 is the odd number, right? Supposing in your sample you have 6 records are there, or 6 observations are there. Let's say you have something else called 38,000. So what you will do, you cancel these two first, right? You cancel, let's say you cancel these two and these two, and in the middle you have 2 values. If your sample size is 6, or if it is an even, right, even number, then you need to take 2 middle values. So you need to add these two things together, 42,000 plus 43,000. How much you will get? For 85,000 divided by 2.
42.5.
Yeah, 42,500.
500.
Yeah, 42,500. This is how you need to find out the middle value. If the sample, sample is an even, right? If your sample size is an even, right? Then you need to, take the 2 middle values, add them together, divided by 2, you will get whatever you get it, right? That is what your median. If your sample size is in terms of odd, right? Then it is pretty easier finding out the middle value. So median is to find out the middle value. Next we will see what is mode. Mode is nothing but the more frequently occurring value. Let's say 1, 2, let's say I have 12 and 8 and I have something called 2. So what is the mode here? We studied in school time. Very easy, right? Most frequently occurring values are 2. See, 1 is occurring only one time, 2 is occurring 2 times. The most frequently occurring value is 2 here. That is what the mode. So this is called your unimodal. This is called your unimodal. Supposing I have something like 1, 8, let's say 11, 1, 8, 1 comma 12 comma 11. How many modes are there here? 11 is, one second, my system is hanging. 11 is occurring 2 times, and 1 is occurring 2 times, right? So 1 comma 11. So this is called your bimodal. Bimodal. Similarly, if you have 3 modes, we call it trimodal. Unimodal, bimodal, trimodal. And if you have more than 3 modes, multimodal. Multimodal. If you have more than 1 mode. Okay, this is theory we studied during 6th standard or 7th standard in our school time, right? So how can I use this in real time scenario? How it is helpful? So in the case of categorical variable, if you have any missing data, missing values, right? If you have a categorical variable, and if that has any missing values, then what we do is we'll be using mode to perform data imputation. We use mode to perform data imputation. Data imputation. What do you mean by data imputation? Supposing you have 25,000 records are there, right? So let's say you have order number, order date, and let's say you have something called gender. Gender is the gender column. You have male is there, and here you have male, and here you don't have any value, missing value, right? And here you have female, and you have something called missing values, and you have something called male, right? So in this case, you cannot see if you perform any statistical test, or if you use any machine learning algorithm or deep learning algorithm, you're not supposed to have missing value in a data set. If you have missing value in a data set, it will throw an error. It will not work. To overcome that, you need to perform 2 actions. One is to remove these records which has missing values. But if I remove the missing value related records, the number of records in my data set will get reduced significantly. Let's assume that way, okay? So in that case, my sample size will become very less. With the less sample data, if I perform any analysis, it can lead to some kind of bias. So what I do is, I need to fill these missing values. Okay, so what I do is, in that case, I'll be using mode. So mode is helpful in terms of finding out the most frequently. Which one is most frequently? The more male. Hence, you fill these blank values by male. Okay, male and male, something like that. Okay. So in the case of categorical variable also, we can use mode. Even in the case of quantitative variable also, we can use mode. But categorical variable, we will be using mode to perform data imputation. So apart from this, we use mode to do some kind of bucketing. Okay, supposing, let's say the amount spent by your customers. Let's say you have randomly sampled the data and you noted down the amount spent by various customers. Amount spent, let's say one customer spent $300, other customers spent $200, other customers spent, why my system is hanging? Yeah, $100, other customers spent $250 and $300, right? So $300, other person spent $2,500, and one customer, right? Other customers spent let's say $150. So what we do is we create some kind of bucket or binning, right? So those customers spent less than 300, right? Or those, right? And those customers spent greater than or equal to 2,000, right? Greater than or equal to 2,000. So in that case, one second, I don't know why it is hanging here. Yeah. So how many people spent less than 300 here, or less than or equal to 300, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, 6 customers, they spent less than or equivalent to 300 rupees, and how many of them spent more than 2000 and above 2000? So only one person, right? Only one person. So we do bucketing, and then of these two buckets, which one has more frequently occurring values? This is the one, right? Less than or equal to 300. So in that kind of situation also we'll be using mode. Okay, so now you understood different terms, though you learned the mean, median, mode, right? Mean, but the outlier is the new term for you guys, right? So outlier is the new term. So now you understood when we are supposed to use mean, when we are not supposed to use mean, and if my data set is heavily skewed, what kind of measure should I use it? If the data set is heavily skewed, please use median. Okay, because median is very robust. Look here, even in this case, right, when you took the two middle values, the average was 42,500 only. The average was not skewed here, though you have an outlier in this data set, right? Sorry, this is your outlier. Though you have an outlier in your data set, your average was not skewed here. So median is supposed to be used if the data set is skewed, and you have to use mean if a data set doesn't have any outlier in it. So the median is, so the mode is nothing but the frequency, right? It helps us to find out which values are occurring more than once. How many number of times a specific value is occurring. So male, how many number of times it occurs. Look at here. So how many number of males are there before data imputation? 3 male, right? Male is 3 and female is 1 and female is 1. So it helps us to find out the frequency of occurrence of the values in your data set. In this case, right, the categorical gender, the male occurs 3 times and female occurs only 1 time. Right? So since this one occurs more number of time, right, what we do is we perform data imputation. What is data imputation? Replace the missing values. In this case, we replace the missing values by taking the mode on this data set. So you can use mode for the categorical variable also, right? That is what you understood. Next, what we will do is I'll just go to my PowerPoint and let us see some quizzes there. Now tell me, what is the answer for this? What do we have to do to make the median useful statistic? You don't have to look at this data set, okay? You ignore this column. You just look at this and tell me what do you have to do to make the median a useful statistic? I need all your answers. Those people cannot talk. You can type it in the chat window.
First we need to start it out and take that median value.
Calculate the average, put the data in order, right? Eliminate outliers. We don't have to eliminate the outliers. Okay, we eliminate
There's
data.
no outlier, right?
The outlier, there is no outlier here.
Yeah, we don't have outlier. Even if you have an outlier, you don't have to eliminate it, right? You don't have to really, delete it. Eliminate data values that repeat. No, right? Put the data in order. That is the answer here. First, sort the data in order. Given this option, that is the only one thing we can say. As I discussed, the mean for the data set which do not have the outlier, we can see some values here, right? The mean is 4%, but median is this one. Mean is this one, especially when you have the outlier in your data set, the mean is getting skewed, right? Hence, this is not useful. Median is the best measure in that case. And yeah, what do you think? Yeah, you tell me what. It's a tricky question.
Where do you think the median is?
Yes.
So I'll give 56380.
600, so
Either 3 or 4. option 3 or option 4. Which one can we use it in? Anywhere in between 48,000 or exactly between 48,000 and 53,000. Exactly, right? Exactly between 48,000 and 53,000.
48,670 and 53.
Right? The answer 4 is the correct one, because see, nowadays, irrespective of the level, they conduct the online test, right? So though you know what is mean, median, right, you should not get confused because of the tricky questions, okay? And mode, see, mode we discussed, right? So this is the amount spent less than 3, and this is the mode here. So the mode works well in winners take all situation, gives the most popular value. It is easy to understand. And in mode, we don't use the formula. We don't have to use any formula, right? Mean and median. So even in the case of mean, there is a formula. Average. Add all the values divided by the sample, number of samples, right? Total number of values in the sample. For median, do you have any formula? For median, do you have any formula? We don't have, right? The middle value, that's all. Simply you take the middle value. But in the case of odd, right, you need to add the 2 middle value and divide by 2. That's all. And now yeah. So what is the mode here? So now I plotted the data here. This is called histogram. This is called histogram. 1 second here. I don't know why my system, whenever I use this one, it is hanging. 1 second. So this is called your histogram, okay, on the left side. And what is the mode here?
40.
40,
11,
40,
80 is the mode.
11, right? 11. 11 is the correct answer, right? If you look at horizontally in the x-axis, this is your x-axis. 1 second, why my system is 1 second, I'll remove this one. I remove this one also to avoid this confusion. Okay, let me just. Yeah, 11 is the correct answer. If you look at the data, 1 second, let me just. I think if I close it and reopen it, it will be okay. 1 second, let me. Okay, before we move further, right? Before we discuss about other things, you tell me what is the answer. What are the properties of mean? All salaries in the distribution affect the mean. You see, you have salary data. All salaries in distribution affect the mean. Is that true or false?
Yes.
Correct.
Right.
Because we take all the data and we add it, and then we divide by the total number of the data points, right? Yeah. Mean can be described with a formula. True.
Yes.
True.
many samples from the same population will have similar means. Is that correct or
No.
why?
Many samples from the sample.
Many samples of the from same population. So it can be like range differs, right? If you are taking a samples from the population, it can be like 1 to 100, 100 to 200 from your end. Then mean will definitely will change, right?
Correct, right? So sample to sample,
Mean will
the
vary.
mean need not to be same all the time, right? Most of the time, sample to sample, the mean will vary.
Vary.
But
Yes.
there are some samples, the mean will be same. Supposing, let's say I have values like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
I'm drawing samples, right? Like 1, comma 1. And I take another sample like 1, comma 2. For 1, comma 2 sample, the mean is 1.5.
Yeah.
For 1, comma 1, the mean is 1.
One. Yeah.
If I take, for example,
1, 3, 1.
1, 3 and 2, comma 2. 2, comma 2 is 4,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So the mean is 2. 1, comma 3 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. These two samples, the mean are same.
Yes.
But majority of the samples, if you take it, the mean will be not same, right? Many samples from the same population will have, it will not have the similar means, right? Many samples, but there are some samples, the means will be same, okay? This is false. The third one, the answer is false. The mean of sample can be used to make inferences. What do you mean by making inferences? Making inferences about the population. Let's say in your college, take college example, in your college 2000 students are studying, right? And they're, let's say final year students or close to 1000 students are there. Let's say you are running a survey with randomly with 10 different students, okay? You randomly call 10 different students, the final year students, and you note down their age. 10 different students, you ran a survey, and one person age is 20, other person age is 21, one person age is 22. 20, 21, 20, because probably, in 10th standard, school time, right, you would have failed, because of which his age would have been more, right? So, but if you take the average in that sample, let's say you get the average age is 22. Let's say, right, the average is 22 as per the sample. Let's say our friend Satish, he ran a survey with another group of people. And Shweta, you ran a survey with another group of people, right? The average of your 3 different samples are completely differing. You cannot say just because your sample's average age is 22, blindly you cannot say all the people in final year, all the final year students' ages are right, average ages 22. You cannot say, because in our sample, first sample, the average comes close to 22, and other sample it comes 21, other sample it comes 22.5. Right? So the mean of you cannot use the mean of a sample to make inference about the population. Anyhow, we'll discuss this later in the case of inferential statistics, right? When I'm going to talk about this one in detail, how to make an inference about the population given a sample. Okay, that time you will get more clarity. Fine. The next one is this one. Mode, right? So by looking at this, we can say very clearly, look here, pointer option. Oh, the pointer option is not available. Okay, there is a curse here. Okay, so this is the one, right? The 11, right? So if you look at 11 here, this value, it occurs 80 times. The value 11 is occurring 80 times compared to other values. Fine. And you tell me, this is called right skewed data. Let's say the salary data is given to you. When you plot the data in a chart, it is coming something like this. First of all, what is an histogram? This is an histogram. It is kind of a bar chart, but the difference here is, right, bar chart and histogram. In the case of histogram, in the y-axis, you will have the count here. This is called your count. This is, right, this is called, please remember this. Many of them, they forget it. But the x-axis, the actual, supposing let's say, this is your let's say salary in terms of 1,000 or 10,000. Okay, this guy is getting 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, right? Something like that. This is your salary. You plotted the salary variable in the x-axis, but in the y-axis you don't have to plot anything when it comes to histogram. What histogram does is it plots the frequency here. That means the 10,000 I told you, right, the units here. So 11 into 10,000. So let's say right, 11,000, right? So 11,000, how many number of people are getting 11,000 salary? 80 people. How many number of people getting how many number? 100,000, right? 10,000 means 100,000. Yeah, this is 110,000, right? So this is 100,000. How many people are getting 1 lakh salary? 60 people. And of all these people, right? If you compare this, the 1 lakh 10,000, 80 people are getting 1 lakh 1,000 salary. Hence, this is called your bin. Bin is nothing but bucket, right? So this is between 0 to 10,000, 10,001 to 20,000. In the case of histogram, you plot the variable in the x-axis, the quantitative variable. Remember that in histogram you can plot only the quantitative variable. You cannot plot a qualitative variable, right? So if you plot the quantitative variable, the y-axis, the frequency will be plotted automatically. Frequency or count or frequency, right? Both of them are same term, okay? Represent the same thing. So if you look at here, right here, there is no gap between one bar to another bar. Okay, in the case of bar chart, there is a gap between one bar to another bar, right? So here also you will get some gap. It is not same as your bar chart, right? So but here in the case of histogram y-axis, you will have count or frequency here. So this is what. So here the 80, what it says is 1,10,000 salary is drawn by 80 people. 70,000 salary is drawn by 10 people. 10 or somewhat 10 people, right? So in this case, what is the most frequently occurring bucket? This one, right? So hence 11 is the mode here. But again, you cannot say 11 here, okay? So because here 10,001 and 11,000. See here it starts from 9,001 to 10,000. 10,001 to 11,001. This bucket has values between 10,001 to 11,000, right? So that means you need to take the average between these two values. 10,001 plus 11,000 divided by 2. That is what your mode. Please note that this is important thing, because in the online test you might tend to get questions like this. Okay, see here there is a alignment problem. Ideally, right? So here, yeah. So here, okay, I mentioned about correctly only, right? 11. 11 means 10,001. This one is 10,001 and 11,000, right? This one is above 10,000, 11,000. That means 11,001 to 12,000 values are falling in this bucket or bin. Bin, B-I-N, right? So bin. And in this bin, so 10,001 to 11,000 values are plotted here. So you need to add these two values, that is what your mode here. So earlier I discussed about this mode. Look here, in this case the mode is 3, but in this case 1. But here we have mentioned about the bucket here. We plotted the bucket or bin in the case of histogram. Histogram we have to use bin here, right? In the x-axis, need to plot the x variable in terms of bins, buckets. Okay, so this is, so when I plotted the given data, customer has given me the data, I wanted to, so I plotted it in histogram. See, in Excel sheet you have something called histogram option. Okay, I plotted it. After plotting the data, I can see something like the pattern. This is called a distribution pattern. If you look at here, right, it is gradually falling down. The tail is, this is what your tail, right? The tail is gradually falling down on the right. Right? If you sees a pattern something like this, we call this data set as a right side skewed data. This data set is skewed on the right side. Whereas if the data is skewed on the left side, we call the left skewed data. Okay, left skewed data. So when will this occur? If you have outlier in your data set, right? So, or sometimes, right, the right skewed data is also called as positively skewed data. If the data is skewed on the left side, that is left skewed or negatively skewed. Okay, look here, left skewed and right skewed. So right skewed, see the tail is flattening on the right side, and here also it is flattening abruptly on the left side, right? So if the tail is flattening on the left side abruptly, this is called your negative skew or left skewed. And if it is flattening on the right, that's why I put both the term. Left skewed is nothing but negative skew, right skew is nothing but positive skew, right? It is falling. But in both the case, left skewed and right skewed, right, the mode is here. We know the mode is nothing but the highly more frequently occurring value or the popular value, right? Even in this case also, the mode is the peak value. Okay. In both the cases, left skewed and right skewed, listen very carefully. The mean is dragged on the outward. Okay, now I know mean and mode. So in between these two, the median will be there. The median is the middle value, right? In both the cases, the median is there in the middle, and the mean also got dragged on the outward direction, and the mode is nothing but the peak in both the cases. This is the peak, and this is the peak in this case. Now you tell me what is the answer here. What is the, first of all, you tell me, is this a positively skewed or negatively skewed data? Look at here. The tail is
Right side.
we are falling, right? Absolutely right. Falling on the flattening on the right side,
Right.
right? Flattening on the right side. Hence, it is a right skewed data or positively skewed data. Now, where the mode is there, peak. This is the peak, right? The mode, and the mean will be somewhere here between the mode and mean. We will have the median. Now you tell me what is the answer. So by looking at these options, right, you can easily find out in between the median will be there.
Mean.
You have
Third
two
one,
options,
third one,
right?
Third one.
Third one, very good. Mode is mode is less than median, no, right? Mode is less than median. First one, obviously.
Yeah, first one.
Mean is less than median, median is less than mode, right? First one is the correct answer, correct. Now you tell me what is the answer here. This is called normally distributed data, normal distribution or bell curve. If you connect all these values, I don't know why my, okay, laser pointer, okay, let me do one. If I connect these corner, right? If I connect these corner, if I draw a line here, assume that, but the problem is the pointer option, pen is not enabled here, okay?
Kind of bell curve.
Yeah, bell curve, right? If you join these things, right, it's kind of a bell curve, right? This is called your bell curve. Hence, it is a normally distributed data. In the case of normally distributed data, the property of the normal distributed data, the mean will be there in the middle, the median is also there in the middle, the mode is also there in the middle. So mean is equivalent to median is equivalent to mode. Remember this. Very simple and very interesting one, right? It is not a theory. You can take any Excel sheet and plot the data, right? Probably I will show you later, okay? I don't know, why my system is hanging, right? If you put the data and see, right, especially in the case of normally distributed data, you will find the mean will be somewhat, right, 121, and median will also be 121, and mode will also be 121. You will get the three values if you calculate it manually also, or if you use the Excel formula like average and median, mode, right? All three values are same. Okay, that is the beauty. Someone, right, they invented this, okay. And importantly, I wanted to show you. So you should be very good at interpreting the visualization related tools. See, histogram is one type of tool, right, using which we can interpret. See, now the question is, the properties of the histogram is, see, normally distributed data is, the mean is equivalent to median, median is equal to mode. Fine. And what kind of story you can tell from this? Let's say you're a data scientist, you got hired by a company, you joined with the company, your company is completely relying on you. But in your company, they hired few data analysts, but they don't know what is statistics, but they have a limited knowledge on statistics. But this histogram is very specific to statisticians. Only statisticians or data scientists, they must be knowing what is histogram is all about, how to interpret it. If you ask a data analyst, he will say, I don't know what this is. Probably he can tell the most frequently occurring value, you can find it in the middle. Or he can say mean, median, or in the middle. But what kind of story, if you ask him to tell the story by this one, right? Let's say I am the CEO, I don't know the ABCs of statistics. You are my data scientist. And I have few data analysts, they are not able to tell any story by looking at this. First of all, they don't know what is histogram. They know bar chart, they know other charts, okay? But they don't know histogram. Now you are a data scientist, if you tell me, sir, by plotting this data, I can say the mean is equal to median is equal to mode. Do you think I'll be happy?
No.
I'm a businessman. If you tell Mukesh Ambani this theory, you think he'll be happy? He'll say, man, don't teach me all these things. Okay, you tell me what it tells exactly. Right? So let's say these are all the salaries. You plotted the salaries of the employees. Let's say, Mukesh Ambani, he comes up to you and says, hey, guys, the employees in our company, they are complaining that we are, whatever the salary we are giving us, the salary, whatever we give it to our employees, biased to one. Right? Because some employees, right, they are very much known to me, hence we are giving good salary, irrespective of their experience. Or some employees are my relatives, because of which I give more salary. But some guys, I don't like them, but somehow I have to retain them in my company. Though they are experienced, highly skilled, I give less salary. I'm biased. Employees are complaining. So what I do is, I don't want to be biased guy. Right? So what I do is, I want to make sure that whether are we really, biased, or simply are they making any allegations, right? So what I do is, I call a data scientist. He made my job simple, and he says, right? He plotted this and say, sir, the histogram tells very clearly we are not biased, because the data is normally distributed. And still I'm confused. Hey, I'm not convinced. Can you please explain it further? So he says only few of the employees are getting less salary. This is less salary, right? 100 employees are getting less salary, and only few employees are getting very high salary. That is a common phenomenon even in the case of IT companies, software company, Infosys, or let's say other companies, right? Software companies, right? You have some accountants, non-developers, support people are there. Support people are getting lesser salary, and only few people are getting very high salary, like VP, AVP, group manager, group head. Only few people are. How many group heads are there? How many vice presidents are? Only few, right? Only few of them are getting very high salary, and only very few of them are getting very low salary. And again, the rest of them are getting salary on par with their level. So this guy is a developer, senior developer, module lead, project leader, project manager, something like that, right? So hence, by looking at the histogram itself, the data scientist tells me, sir, we are not biased, because the data is normally distributed. Only few of them are getting less salary, and only few of them are getting very high salary. See, a company cannot pay high salary, 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs per annum to each and every employee, right? So the VP and above, right, they get minimum, right, their salary will be like 5 crores or 10 crores per annum, right? So we cannot give that salary to all the people, right? So then the histogram reflects the reality, right? So it tells us we are not biased, right? So he explained very clearly, right? So only few of them are getting less salary, obviously, because they are support people. Only few of them are getting very salary because they are all group head, group manager and above, obviously they are getting very high salary, and rest of them are falling on their respective band and level, right? So hence they are getting this. And see, I have developers, the developers, 200 developers are getting salary between this, and senior developers, their salary, and project leaders, the module lead, project leader, right? So their salary is something like, so the histogram in the case of normally distributed data, if you find the bell curve, normally distributed data or bell curve, right? If you see the pattern similar to this, that means we right, the data is normally distributed. We don't see any volatility here, right? It's not about volatility. It is about there is no bias here, right? You just think that way. But in the case of left skewed and right skewed, right? See, this is my right skewed, right? Majority of them, they are getting the salary between 62 to this is not 62 actually, okay, let's say or let's say something like this, right? 40 to 62, right? Something like, you take the majority of them, and only few of them are, but here also, right, only few of them are getting, or let's say 50% of them are getting salary between this range, and 50% getting salary like this, 50-50, right? 50% of getting salary between 60 to 36, and or 25, right? And 50% getting between 25 to 5,000, something like that, right? The 5 lakhs, something like that. Okay, this is the right skewed data. This is how you interpret it. And similarly, in the case of left skewed data, also, you'll be interpreting this way. One second, let me just. Okay, what kind of distribution is this? Is this normally distributed or left skewed, right skewed? We don't see right skew, we don't see left skew, we don't see normally normal, we don't see peak and valley, right? So this is uniform distribution. This is called uniform distribution. So left skewed, right skewed distribution, normal distribution, uniform distribution. This is very rare. In real time, we don't get uniform distribution. I'll give one simple example. For example, you are a caterer, and every month you are giving food to 30 people, 30 customers. They're all working in company, right? You give 30 employees food on a daily basis. Your revenue is same across the year, right? So all each month your revenue is same. So hence, right, it is called your uniform distribution. When you plot the data, you will get straight line, right? Let's say in the histogram it will be like this. All the bars will be at the equal height. Since it is called your uniform distribution. But what is the mode here? Can you tell me where is the mode here? Here we can see the mode, right? Because this is the tallest one, and here the mode is here, right? The mode is here. And where is the mode here? There is no mode here. No mode. Yeah, in the case of uniform distribution, there is no mode here. Okay. Now you tell me, where is the mode in this kind of distribution?
Multi-mode.
Bimodal, right? Two modes are there, right? Two modes are there. So what kind of story we can tell? Let's say this is, let's say you are a shoe manufacturer, okay? You are a shoe manufacturer and you want to, interpret this one, okay? Let's say you are a shoe manufacturer, you want to make sure that, what in the population, what is the average size of the majority of the people? Average, the foot size or feet size. What is the average feet size of male? What is the average size of female? So that you can produce more number of shoes for male and female, because majority of the males and females average foot size is, let's say, 5.6 feet, and in the case of female 4.2, right? If you produce more number of shoes based on this, none of them have joined here. I think next week they will be joining the session. Okay, so look at here. So the data tells the story, right? See this chart, as a data scientist, just by looking at this, you can make an inference quickly, right? Look at it. Let's say this is female data and this is male data. In this case, two modes are there. So by looking at this, you can say 126 centimeter. Majority of the males feet size is 126 centimeter. Majority of the females feet size is 118. So if I produce more number of shoes with this size for female and for more number of shoes with this size for male, will definitely make sense. Supposing if I produce more number of sales with this size, what will happen? What will happen? Hardly 3,000 females feet size or 114 centimeter, right? But if you look at the 700 females, feet size is 118 centimeter. But if I produce more number of shoes with this size, what will happen? It'll lie idle, right? Similarly, if you look at here, so how many number of, let's say, right, 900 in my given male population, 900 males or the shoe size is 126 centimeter. Feet size, right? The feet size is 126 centimeter. In that case, if I produce more number of shoes with this size, will really make sense. But here, you are not supposed to produce, you are supposed to manufacture shoes, but not more number of shoes, right? But here also, okay. But when it comes to this size, if you produce more number of shoes with 126 size, it really makes sense. You understood, right? So that is what you can interpret from this thing. And I'm going to skip that one, but anyway, let's not worry. See, look at here. Now you tell me what is the mode here. So in this case, I plotted the categorical data in the x-axis. In the y-axis, it's a count. But earlier I said, in the case of histogram, you are supposed to use quantitative variable only, right? We can plot the categorical data also. See, usually what do we do, right? Instead of using male and female, we use the encoded value. What is encoding? 1 is male and 0 is female. This is what the values we use it conventionally in statistics or data science or machine learning, okay? 1 is male. So 1 occurs more number of time. That means close to 35,000 males are there and female close to 20,000 females are there. Of these two, which one is the mode?
Both are mode, right? It is unique bimodal, right? Male and it will change, right? We cannot make it as a single value, right? Okay. Number of occurrence of data.
No. These two values are stored in a single variable. Okay.
Then 34,000. So
34,100.
Okay. 34,100. Okay. You are not supposed to tell this one. You need to say male. Okay. So when it comes to categorical data, you need to say male or female, because we are talking about categorical data, not quantitative, right? This 1 and 0 is nothing but the categorical, right? So hence you say male, or you can say 1. 1 is nothing but male. Okay. Fine. Now you tell me the answer for this. Using mode can be described if the data is either categorical or numerical. Using mode can be described, we can describe the data is either categorical or numerical. False, right? You cannot, you can use mode for both categorical as well as quantitative. You cannot say, right? It's a false. The second one, the expenditures in the below data set affect the mode. If it is a mean, all the values in the data set will affect the mean. But in the case of mode, it doesn't, right? We are very particular about.
As a 3 occurrence, right? Yeah, it's a true.
Why do you say
it's
it is
not a false? False. It's a false. It's not affected.
correct, right?
It's not affected.
Yeah, we are very particular about popular value. That's all. 32, not all the values. Okay, there is an equation for the mode. Formula is there?
No.
No. Okay, good. The mode remains same for more than one samples drawn from the same population.
The mode remains same for more than one sample.
The
See,
mode remains same for more than one samples drawn from a same population. Yes.
no. It is not same. It is not same, right? I'll show you why. Just give me a second.
It's a sample set or it's a sample like
Okay, more than one sample drawn from a same population.
We were discussing about the age of the students, right? That survey.
Exactly right. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the mean will vary from one sample to another. Sorry, mean might vary from one sample. I'll just give me a second. I
But
don't.
here we are talking about mode, right? Not mean.
Yes, we are talking about mode. I just 1 second. Just give me a second. I'll just open this. See here. Let's take for example in my population. I have 4 values: 1, 2, 3, 4. I take in my sample 1, I draw 1, 1, right? So I have drawn a sample from this population with replacement. What is with replacement? The same value I can draw it one more time, okay? And I draw another sample. I call sample 2. Here 1, 2. And here the mode is 1, right? But here what is the
No,
mode? There is
no
no mode,
mode.
right? Yeah, the samples drawn from various samples modes are same from the same population. That is what the question, right?
Okay.
So it is not same. So here you can have 2, 3, or you can have 2, 2. But here this 2 and here it is 1 mode. Hence it is not same, right? That is what it tells.
Okay.
See, the mode remains same for more than one samples drawn from. In the case of 1, 1, the mode is 1, but in the case of 2, 2, the mode is 2. Now you cannot say it is same, right? The mode remains same for more than one samples drawn from the same population. It is false. Can a mode change if the bin size in an histogram changes? Bin, I discussed about bin. What is bin? It's kind of interval, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I change the bin size, the histogram change, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely it will change.
Correct, right? Let's say you have created a bin based on some age group, right? Between 22, let's say 20 to 30, the amount spent by the customer is very high. In that particular interval, right? 20 to 30, you have a bucket called 20 to 30. In that bucket, if you see the amount spent by the customers, let's 20,000. But if you split that as 20 to 25 and 25 to 30, 20 to 25, most of them are, they are just passed out. They are, even if they got placed, their salary is very less, right? Compared to the age group between 25 to 30, right? Obviously, the values will get distributed to 25 to 30, majority of the values. In the case of salary also, right? So 20 to 25, the bar size will be smaller compared to 25 to 30 when it comes to salary, right? So yes, can a mode change if the bin size in an histogram changes? Obviously. You understood, right? This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, fine. And to summarize, what is mean, median, mode? Geometric mean is not required. Let us ignore this. When the data is not heavily skewed, you can use mean. If the data is highly skewed, use median. In the case of voting situation or with classes, you can use mode. And also in case of data imputation, right? If in case of any missing values are there in your gender column or any other categorical variable, we can use mode to replace the missing values, right? Next, we will see the measures of dispersion. What I would suggest, right? We will continue the measures of dispersion in the next weekend. We discussed so far about the mean, median, mode, and also we discussed about distributions, how to interpret the histogram, right? In the histogram, especially by using the histogram, we can find out the distribution of a variable. Let's say I have a salary variable, amount spent variable, whether the amount spent by my customer is normally distributed or is it right skewed or is it left skewed. We understood normal distribution, left skewed, right skewed, and uniform distribution also, and bimodal distribution, right? So all these things you understood. The how to interpret the distribution, right? Distribution of variable, right? How to plot the distribution, how to interpret them, right? That is what we discussed. What we will do is in the next weekend we will continue with the measures of dispersion. Okay. Because I don't want to dump so many things in the initial sessions. Okay, over a period of time, after 3 to 4 weeks, right, down the line, will step up the pace. Okay, I'll speed up it. Okay, because and also today, I expected many people to join. They did not join due to some other reasons. Definitely next weekend they'll be joining it. Okay, fine.
Sure.
Any questions so far?
No, yeah.
No, sir. Yeah.
Fine. So what we will do is we will circle back next weekend, right? Since you are all comfortable with 6 to 8, we will continue with the same time. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Have a nice evening. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you, Yusuf. Bye bye.
What is it, sir?
Goodbye.